I can't believe they kept this chapter in today. But I love that they did, guys. Because what a great welcome back to Jujutsu Kaisen. Just a nice little fun episode before we get into the craziness. Now, I have not read the manga. Well, technically, I guess I have to an extent. But I haven't actually read the Shibuya incident or anything like that, guys. But I have read this chapter of this episode we're about to go through today. And what a ridiculous chapter. What a just out of nowhere kind of chapter. But I really like, though, because it's pretty fun, honestly. Shows us a different side of Yuji, I guess, to an extent. So let's just get straight into it and talk about Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2, Episode 6 today. Our episode begins with us hearing Yuji say, "I think I'll go see a movie." "What about you, Nobara?" As she says, "I'm gonna go shopping." And Megumi, being the guy we all know he is, says, "I'm going home." So as Megumi leaves, Yuji asks Nobara again, like, "Hey, I'm going to the movies. What are you really trying to do?" As she asks what he's seeing, and he says, "Human Earthworm 4. And as Yuji starts regaling us of the tragic tale of the Earthworm Man, an experiment of science, Nobara just tells him, "I am not seeing Wormo Man," regardless of the theme of the movie. As Yuji's just like, "It's actually Human Earthworm, thank you very much." But regardless of what it's called, she dips out on him, not wanting to see that trash, and they part ways. And when they do, we see this one girl casually watching the whole thing across the street. But before we get into her story, we're going to transition into our next scene, as we just hear, special grades are a rank reserved for those exceptional sorcerers. In my opinion, first grade is the true rank for the sorcerers, who will lead other sorcerers in Jujutsu society. They must stand above comparison to semi-first grades in terms of peril, secrecy, and salary. Gotta include the salary part. With that in mind, what did you two just tell me? And it's here Mei and Todo repeat themselves as we hear Maki Zenin, Panda, Megumi Fushiguro, Nobara Kugisaki, and my brother, Yuji Itadori. We recommend those 5 for first grade sorcerer status. It's a pretty damn big step forward for all 5 of them, honestly. And as we transition into our next scene, we learn why this is, as we hear, those who are recommended by at least 2 first grade sorcerers must carry out missions under an active first grade, or someone equivalent. Then, if they're deemed fit, they will be prompted to semi-first grade, and proceed to be assigned first grade missions on their own then. And based on those missions, they either will or won't officially become first grade sorcerers. And my brother will certainly accept the recommendation. My brother. As Todo explains to us that, with Sukuna still uncooperative, he'll need to go on more dangerous missions to raise his chances of finding more fingers. You understand what that means, right, Mei? And it's here, they just start playing ping pong, because of course they do. Mappa's just gotta flex their animation skills yet again, turning in the balls of fury out here. As Todo continues and says, "It means a bright future for myself and Yuji Itadori as we face missions together." And as Mei tries to tell him no, he says, "You don't have to say it. There's no guarantee I'll be a first grade sorcerer assigned to accompany him. That's true. But it's as certain as apples falling from a tree. The 2 of us are drawn together." But it's here Mei's gotta pop that bubble and tell him, "No, what I really meant is that the sorcerers who recommended him can't be assigned to accompany him." And Todo's instant deflation is hilarious, bro. He is dead inside now. And because of that, he gets his ass kicked in ping pong. But it's here as we transition back to Nobara. We see that one girl has been following her. But eventually she does call out to her and say, hey, excuse me, you were with Itadori earlier, right? As Nobara's just like, huh? But it's here, after we go through our really cool new opening, but not the best opening we've had for the show so far, we see that these two go to a diner for a little bit of girl talk. As we hear, this is what I looked like at our middle school graduation ceremony. And let me just say, as someone who used to be way bigger than I am now, her glow up is pretty damn insane. It is. As even Nobara can't believe it. Like, that was 6 months ago! What the hell happened? As she's like, I grew 15 centimeters by then, I outgrew the weight. Like, that shit happens. But now it's time to get to the heart of our situation here, as we hear, on graduation day, I worked up the courage to ask for a photo with him. I actually wanted to ask for his phone number, but it was already decided that he'd be moving to Tokyo. So when I saw him earlier, I thought maybe with how I look now. And as Nobara pieces it together, she's like, it's like that. As Yuko's like, oh girl, it's like that. As she immediately gets on the phone and tells Megami, hey, get over here. I need to ask you a question, stat. But it's here Yoko says, if you're interested in Yuji, we could not do this. As Nobara says, no. Even if hell froze over and danced the Labada, no. Then all of a sudden she notices her chest feels weird and realizes, wait, did my heart just skip a beat? So all you shippers out there, I know there's a lot of you, you might have a chance, maybe. But who cares, frankly? But you might. But it's here as Megami gets in and he's filled in on all the blah, 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 blah. He's like, so it's like that, huh? I see. As he tells them all, yeah, Yuji definitely doesn't have a girlfriend. He's got a pinup poster hanging in his room. Anyone with a girlfriend wouldn't have something like that hanging up, right? You don't know guys. As Nobara just burns the shit out of him right here, saying, yo, are you the type to drink coffee black only when women are around so you can show off, you emo motherfucker? Stop it. Get some help. And it's here Yuko asks Megami, hey, by the way, do you know what Yuji's type is? As he says, he likes tall girls, but forgot to mention the big butts part, bro. That's the important part. But it's here. Both of their neurons activate at the same time as they both realize, holy shit, Yuko, you have a shot. Let's get his ass over here. As Nobara, the master of persuasion, gets Yuji to come over here. But it's here when he gets here, she notices the flaw in her plan as she's like, oh, damn. I kind of didn't tell him that she was here, huh? He definitely won't recognize who she is after she's changed so much. Literally a different person, by the way. But it's here we see that our boy Yuji remembers her completely. And everything's fine. Even she kind of can't believe that he remembers her. As these two give him a 10. Good job, Yuji. You're not a total dipshit. But now, it's time to take a little bit of a flashback, guys, as we learn the reason why she likes Yuji so much, as we just hear. Alright, so which girl in our class do you like, Itadori? As we see that she actually overheard this conversation and starts listening in. As Yuji says no one, really, but his friends insist that he has to pick someone. As he says, if I had to pick, then Ozawa, which is Yuko. As his friends are just like, no way, man, she's fat. Fucked up, by the way. Let me tell you, fucked up. But Yuji tells them, but the way she eats and her handwriting is actually very pretty and elegant. And it's here after hearing that, she walks away. She's not embarrassed, obviously. And I love the fact that they still keep the joke in. That his friends ask, wait, I thought you said you like tall girls with big butts. As he says, that's its own thing. I love the fact that they kept that in, and she conveniently didn't hear that part, guys. And it's here as we transition to her perspective. It's a little bittersweet, actually, as we hear, it's easy for girls to get fat. It's easy for everyone to get fat. Let me tell you now, it is, unfortunately. I started off fat, but even I don't have interest in choosing someone who won't choose me. Real. As Yuji walks past her. Itadori was looking at a side of me I wasn't even aware of. I hated all the boys other than Itadori. But with maybe how I look now, I might. As she starts realizing that that thought process means that she's living by the same standards as the people she hates. She's becoming a hypocrite by thinking that way. As we see that in the past and the present, Yuji is still here, being himself like always, no matter how she looks. And it's kind of heartwarming in a way, honestly. It's really nice to think that. And I'll be honest with you guys, I don't know if we see this character again later in the series. I promise you, I have not read past this at all. I don't know anything that happens, but I really hope she does show up again, at least for maybe a little bit of closure. Whether they end up together or not is irrelevant, in my opinion. I just kind of want to see this character again, because I kind of liked her. I like her story, and I'd like to see her again with Yuji, in some way. And after leaving these two alone, we see Megumi and Nobara walking as Megumi says, "Was that really okay?" They could have at least exchanged numbers, you know. As Nobara says, she exchanged hers with me, so it's fine. As she says, "More important, Megumi, I finally realized my own feelings." Dun dun dun. The thought that Itadori might have a girlfriend before I get a boyfriend pisses me off. I already hear the shippers in the background singing, guys, but it's here. Our boy himself shows up after walking Yuko to the station, and we see just how close that these three really are with each other. That despite their problems with each other, they're all actually friends. But it's here. It's time for us to get into our nitty-gritty, guys, and really jump head first into the Shibuya incident. As we see, Utahime has to carry out a very important mission here to kind of figure out who's leaking information. And it's here, she tells our three Stooges that you've heard from Gojo about the person leaking intel, right? As she tells them there's probably 2 or more people in contact with cursed users. One would be a higher up, well above the principal of the school. We won't be able to do anything against that person. But the other would be someone passing the information up to that higher up. That person is our current target. We only have one suspect right now, so we'll capture and then interrogate them. As Nobara deduces that it's someone from Kyoto, otherwise these 3 wouldn't even be here. As Utahime has to regretfully tell them that the mole is Mekamaru. And we see that he knows they're coming. And it's here as we transition back to Utahime. She says, Mekamaru's real body, Kokichi Muta, is in the basement here. It's not like he's suspicious, but it's more like everyone else wasn't, you know? So the process of elimination leaves us with Mekamaru. And as they're looking for him, she actually starts explaining his abilities to them as we hear. Mekamaru's technique is puppet manipulation. Though thanks to his heavenly pact, the range he can manipulate puppets in extends throughout all of Japan. Kind of a wild ability, honestly. If he has any unregistered puppets, then he could do the work of a mole as much as he wanted. But it's here as they get to his room, we see that no one's there. As Utahime realizes he got us. And as we transition over to Mekamaru, we see that he's really meeting with Geto and Mahito, confirming he is the mole. As Mahito says, look, we're enemies here. Can I just kill him quick? As Geto says, not yet. He agreed to cooperate with us and provided us information. And in exchange, we agreed to use your idol transfiguration to fix his body. That's the pact we all forged, remember? Killing him comes after fixing him. As we realize that the only reason their pact is even broken right here is the fact that Mechamaru said he didn't want them to attack anyone at the school, but Hanami broke that at the end of season 1. So now their pact is broken and they're enemies again. As he tells them, hurry up and fix me, you scumbags. Now you might be wondering why they would fix his body if they're enemies again. Well, our boy Geto explains that, as he says, pacts formed with others are very different from pacts placed upon oneself. When you break a pact with yourself, whatever you gained, the improvement to your own ability is lost. But this time, you cannot break your pact. Because if you break it, we have no idea when or what kind of disaster will befall us because of this. Pacts have differing degrees of penalties if you break them. So with that in mind, we see Mahito really does fix his body right here. And tell me why Mechamaru literally looks like Aki from Chainsaw Man to a freaking T, dude. Like, he looks identical to him. It's wild. But now with our pact broken, it's time to get straight into it. And our fight begins. We see that Mechamaru is putting up a good fight, but he cannot beat Mahito. As we see, he uses this opportunity to escape and actually attacks Mahito from below. As we see, this man built a giant Evangelion looking robot right here. Is this even Jujutsu Kaisen right now? What the fuck? As Mahito says, you've been making something like this in secret, huh? Guess you weren't a shut-in just for show. As Mahito realizes that the seat of his soul, his location, is in his head. That's where he needs to aim for. And it's here we see that Mechamaru realizes they put up a veil above him so that he can't escape, but more importantly, his signal is cut off too. He can't communicate with anyone. As he says, my victory condition is Satoru Gojo. I have to use any means necessary to get in contact with Gojo and tell him about the Shibuya plot. Then I'll have to protect him. Then I'll have him protect me. But with two separate people here, Mahito and Geto, he's at a huge disadvantage. But we see he hasn't given up yet, as he says, I have all the time I was bound. All the cursed energy I gained from that time. At my disposal. I won't hold anything back. As we see his thoughts drift to Miwa right here. As we see he uses a year's worth of his spiritual pressure he saved up to use the Ultra Cannon and potentially blow Mahito away. And with that, our episode ends. Because it's like that. What an absolutely silly episode for most of it. I love it though. It really is a nice way to come back. For us to get a little bit of a breather before we get into crazy shenanigans that I'm sure is going to happen in Shibuya. It's a nice little, like, jump back in, if you will. I enjoyed the episode. I'm still kind of surprised they adapted that chapter, but I'm really happy they did. Because it's always been a funny one to me. I've always enjoyed it. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this episode down below. Are you excited for Shibuya? Let me know in the comments, because I know I am. But until next time, guys, I hope you guys have a great day, week, month, and year. And until then, deuces, have a blessed day, and I'll see you guys next time. Deuces.